I'm Jeff Hunt. He's deep. We're in it this morning. This is a wild show. Do you like that? Is that a banger? Look, you're into it.
Yeah.
That's going to be stuck in
That's
your...
good.
Waking up with Jeff and Deep.
I just started my own podcast.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, it's called Left in the Attic. It's because I made the studio literally in my attic, so Left in the Attic. Jeff, when you come, we'll switch to the basement. We'll call it right in the basement. Right in the basement. We'll have a spin-off show, right?
We live in either side of those, but not in the main part of the house, apparently, right? The left
center in the kitchen,
attic.
you know? I should make a whole series of these, right? So you can go leftintheattic.com. It's going to become a place where progressives and, people more from that kind of world come and talk. We just interviewed Wanda James, who's running against Diane DeGette, and Melat Kiros, who's also running against Diane DeGette, but we're going to have a lot of statewide office.
And they should call in, by the way. This is Denver's top talk radio show because we're a right, left, center discussion show. It's not a monologue. You
Center
go
in
to
the kitchen.
any of those other shows, it's just it is a monologue. It's boring. Here, the debate actually takes place, which is why half our audience tends to be more progressive leaning. So, Deep, I want to ask you about the legislature and the primaries, because what I tell people is, like, Republicans are in the corner just watching the actual fireworks, which are going to be between moderate Democrats and socialist Democrats. I mean, you guys are like even suing each other for a trip to Vail.
There is an ethics violation that's happening against, for those of you who might not be paying attention, there's this thing called the Opportunity Coalition. Some folks have started to call them the opportunists, which is hilarious. I don't know why you would choose that kind of name. I mean, the jokes make themselves. So the Opportunity Coalition, founded by Shannon Byrd and Lindsay Doherty, it's this more moderate, right-leaning Democratic Party that votes for corporate interests mostly, and they decided to go to Vail, and the accusations from Common Cause and the attorneys on that side is that their hotel rooms in Vail, one of the most expensive hotels in Vail, along with their drinks and food, was paid for by lobbyist money, and that goes against the gift ban. So there is an ethics violation that's been opened up. It was deemed credible, so there's going to be more subpoenas, there's going to be testimony, and it has caused a rift in the Democratic Party in terms of
I'm watching your chairman be like, hey guys, can't we all get along? It's like watching the Republicans try to figure it out.
Democrats have been in charge of this state with a trifecta, at least since 2018. But honestly, the John Hickenlooper and Michael Bennet corporate wing of the Democratic Party has been in charge since the mid-2000s, right? And I think we're realizing is, hey, has this corporate Democratic Party that's been in charge made your life better?
No!
Are your prices?
But why would we run down the progressive road even more?
It's because we need to look at a politics that doesn't take money from corrupt interests that ends up voting in a more corrupt government, right? The Democratic Socialist Party at its core is an anti-corruption party, right? A pro-working class party. And even on the right, you're seeing this kind of attitude happen, right? They're like, money in politics. It's buying off these elected officials, right? That like Trump will say, hey, we need to stand up for the working class of America. And then you'll see at his inauguration, all these billionaires come in and be like, hey, you know what? I know you don't like immigration, but what happens if it's just immigration for me? And even on the frustration on the right, you're seeing like, hey, my vote doesn't matter because these billionaires and these oligarchs come in and tell them how to vote. And you see that at the state legislature too, right? You see that in local politics. That's why you have folks like Victor Marx that I think are becoming more popular on the Republican side, right? He's like, hey, I'm not part of this establishment, right? Barb Kirkmeyer has been part of this lobbying corporate establishment for a long time, and I'm outside that. So I think you're going to see a lot more outsider candidates all across the board. And again, the Democratic establishment, I think they're going to have a lot of competitive races. John Hickenlooper is being challenged from the left by Julie Gonzalez. Michael Bennett's being challenged by Phil Weiser. Jenna Griswold being challenged by a multitude of folks. So 2026 is going to be what kind of Democrat wins, and then maybe Republicans get their stuff together for November.
Welcome to Colorado. What kind of Democrat wins? Feel free to call in and air your grievances.
Welcome, newcomers. The tradition of Festivus begins with the airing of grievances. I got a lot of problems with you people. Now, you're going to hear about it.
What kind of Democrat's going to lead Colorado? Oh, my goodness. All right, so for the rest of us, Feel free to call in and air your grievances at 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115. Now is time for the news.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
Hey, good Tuesday morning. Merry Christmas. We're only a couple days away. 37 and mostly cloudy in Denver. Expecting a high of 65 today. News sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777-1234 to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story, as expected, DIA is going to be packed today. Holiday travel 2 days away from the big day, and Coloradans are paying the price for rough roads for holiday travelers. Here's Representative Gabe Evans.
We are spending $1.6 billion on transportation in Colorado, and our rural highways are the fifth worst in the country. Our urban highways are the third worst in the country.
Yep, they sure are. Evans is blasting the state for mismanaging transportation funds, claiming highways are crumbling despite record funding. Evans says roads like I-25, I-76, US 85 are unsafe, causing nearly $2,000 in extra vehicle costs for every average driver each year. He sent a letter to Governor Polis and CDOT demanding a focus on basic road maintenance over mass transit and climate projects. The governor's office disputes Evans's claims, citing ongoing improvements and federal funding investments. The CDC says 5 states, including Colorado, are experiencing very high flu activity. The others are New York, New Jersey, Rhode Island, and Louisiana. In New York City alone, in early December, there was a 460% increase from the same time last year of people with the flu. Colorado immigration activist Jeanette Vizgara has reportedly been released from an ICE detention facility in Aurora. An immigration judge gave Vizgara a $5,000 bond, and her family posted bond on Sunday. She's expected, it says here, to talk about it later today in downtown Denver. Sorry, I'm going to miss that one. A judge in Maryland is blocking the federal government from taking Kilmar Garcia into custody during the holidays. His attorney, Simon Sandoval Moshberg.
It's just been one earthquake after another for this family. And of course, I'm sure they're incredibly gratified that they're going to be together for Christmas and New Year's. But the sword is still very much hanging over all their heads. U.S. District Court judge extended her order freeing Garcia from federal detention during a hearing on Monday. 5 people are dead after a Mexican Navy plane crashed in Galveston Bay in Texas on Monday. The plane took off from Mexico and was transporting a burn victim to Galveston. When it went down, the Mexican consulate has confirmed that 3 members of the Mexican Navy died and a 4th is missing and presumed dead. The patient and his doctor were also killed. A Colorado teen killed in a head-on crash in North Platte, Nebraska is being identified. The Lincoln County Sheriff's Office says that 18-year-old Afton Robertson was pulling a horse trailer on Highway 83 Saturday when he veered into the path of an oncoming semi. The driver of the tractor trailer was hospitalized with serious injuries.
A lot of people are very angry that this continues. A lot of Republicans are angry because of the fact that it's just used to deflect against a tremendous success.
Overnight, the DOJ made more than 11,000 Epstein files available in its latest release, including court records, emails, videos, and news clippings. All right, the Broncos are back on the practice field today as they prep for Thursday's game against Kansas City, once again on Christmas Day. There are 3 bowl games today. If you're off and you're wrapping presents and you don't have things to do, there is college football today. Jazz at the Nuggets last night.
Jazz have missed all 8 shots. Murray, heat check. Whoa, the Nuggets are cooking.
Jamal Murray, 27 points. Nikola Jokic, another triple-double with 14, 13, and 13. 14 points, 13 rebounds, 13 assists, and the Nuggets have won 7 of 8, 135, 112 the final. They are in Dallas tonight taking on the Mavericks, and the grandpa in the pocket last night, Phillip Rivers, taking on the Niners in Indianapolis.
3rd down and goal to the end zone, touchdown again, Alec Pierce.
Rivers hits Pierce, 277 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, but a costly interception. And the Niners win it 48-27. Brock Purdy, 295 yards passing, 5 touchdowns. Christian McCaffrey had 146 yards of total offense and caught 2 touchdowns. 34 in Lafayette, 36 in Littleton, 37 in Denver. You're waking up with Jeff and Bill. In for Billy is Deep, once again wearing the best Christmas jacket of all time. That thing is smooth. Wish I could fit into it. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Your KNUS forecast for the Denver metro area calls for cool temperatures early this Tuesday morning. Temperatures, though, well above average for this time of the year, and we'll be looking at unseasonably warm wintertime conditions leading up to and through Christmas Day with some record warmth. The possibility today, on into tomorrow, and Christmas Day. We'll see highs near 70 degrees. We'll have some mid and high level cloudiness, but it'll be dry. Winds will be breezy, and overnight lows only near 40 degrees. I'm meteorologist Mark Huer in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Billy out this week. He'll be back in January, enjoying some much-deserved time away. Live in studio with me is Deep Singh Badhesha. You can follow him on X at Deep Not Shallow. Deep Not Shallow. He's a member of the Democrat Socialists of America. Always comes on, takes your calls too. Text messages. It's always a lot of fun, a very lively debate. It's also Festivus.
Buy a doll for my son. I reached for the last one they had, but so did another man. As I rained blows upon him, I realized there had to be another way.
What happened to the doll?
It was destroyed. But out of that, a new holiday was born. A Festivus for the rest of us.
Where you can air your grievances. Today is officially Festivus. So give us a call, 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115. Speaking of the text line, Alexa texting in, Blake's new report should be syndicated. Best news information. Way to go, Blake Olson. All right, let's go to the phone lines. We have joining us now Melat Kiros from Denver. She's challenging Diana DeGette for Congress, but not from the right, from the left. She's endorsed by the Justice Dems. Melat, thank you for taking time to join the Jeff and Bill Show.
Thanks so much for having me, and happy Festivus.
Happy Festivus to you, too. Sitting in with me is Deep Singh Badhesha. All right, so now I'm overwhelmed by socialists, apparently, here. All right, so Melat, tell me why you're challenging Diana DeGette, because she's an institution in Colorado. I can't tell you a single thing she's done for the state of Colorado, but
30 years in Congress.
Good night. Yeah. All right, so
only 2 bills passed. Only 2 bills passed. I mean, that's
really?
My grievance, right? That's my grievance in honor of Happy Festivus. I am sick and tired of us arguing amongst one another when, like Deep said, the issue is top down. We are talking about politicians that are bought and paid for by all these corporations, by all of these billionaires, and we're not actually having a debate amongst ourselves, right? Government's supposed to be a place where we can debate our ideas, socialists and capitalists, and everyone can come together and debate, and we can choose what's the most popular among the American people. That's not what's happening. Corporations and billionaires are choosing what they want. They're buying their politicians like they're buying a cup of coffee. They're bribing government agencies. They're stacking the courts with people they choose out of first year of law school. I saw it myself. We're not actually in a democracy anymore, and that's what I'm sick and tired of. That's why I'm running against someone who's been in office for 30 years, only passed 2 bills, and has taken millions of dollars from big pharma, from big energy, all the while the affordability crisis has just been continuing to rage on.
That's Melat Kiros, and please correct me if we're pronouncing it incorrectly.
No,
but
perfect pronunciation.
There you go. All right. So, Melat, tell us your background. Tell us where you're from, your educational background, why you want to run for Congress.
Yeah, I immigrated here in '98 from Ethiopia. Straight to Denver is where I grew up. I'm a recovering attorney. I don't practice anymore. I'm a PhD student studying the issue of money in politics. I'm a barista at Whittier Cafe. Swing by if you ever want to have the best cup of coffee in the city. And I decided to run because, after Trump won, I understood that was because the Democrats had failed, right? The politician's job is to earn the vote of the people in their district, the people of the country. And you can't do that when you're not actually acknowledging the affordability crisis. You can't do that when you're not offering solutions for how to solve it. And you can't do it when you're not acknowledging the corruption that's within our own party. This isn't a left versus right issue. The money in the politics is within all of government across party lines because that's what helps save their bottom line. In order for things to change, we need to have a new litmus test for every single politician, Democrat or Republican, I don't care, that they don't take any corporate PAC money or lobbying money. You're only taking money from individual donors so that you're accountable to the people that you represent and not the donors that fund your campaign.
That's Melat Kiros. She's running against Dana DeGette as a Democrat. Melat, I appreciate your commitment to affordability. Help me understand wherever Democrats have gotten control and have had super control, places like Seattle, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Portland, Denver, that things have gotten more affordable for anybody. It seems to go the exact opposite direction, that with regulations and taxes that come with Democrat leadership, socialist leadership, things get more expensive.
Yeah, that's because corporations and billionaires realized that they couldn't just operate within the Republican Party. They had to start playing game in the Democratic Party as well. So this started about 60 or so years ago and really, really took off around the Clinton administration. And so what you're seeing is that corporations are actually writing these regulations, writing these laws that are making it incredibly difficult for smaller businesses and smaller corporations to be competing on the same level as these massive ones. So when you think about developers, for example, all of these environmental regulations, all of these safety regulations, some of them are very, very important and necessary to make sure folks are safe, right? But some of them are just written into law because corporations have the army of lawyers and staff that can sift through all the paperwork, while smaller corporations and smaller developers can't. So they've locked out the competition. They've completely monopolized that industry, and they've made sure that they can keep prices as high as possible. And it's working people that suffer at the end of it. The only way we can solve that problem is by getting the corporate influence, the billionaire influence out of our politics at every single level, especially at the local level.
But, Melat, wouldn't you say that places like Cuba, for instance, or Venezuela don't have corporate influence? Like, those are places where you have the least amount of corporate influence, almost total government control, and some of the worst oppression that takes place. I see the avenue for some of the worst oppression. It comes from the government.
So it's just corporate influence in a different flavor, right? Oftentimes, some of the folks that you're pointing to in these countries are still being backed by incredibly wealthy interests, and they are the ones that are getting to benefit from the decisions being made in some of these places. I would argue that these are very complex countries, and if you want to talk about particular issues that they're facing, then we can do that as well. But for a place like Cuba that has one of the most unmatched healthcare services in the entire world, actually. They are really leading in the medical field. That is a separate question of how they run their healthcare, which is universal, and that's something that we should be doing here as well. But if we're talking about who's actually in charge, it's still the people with the money, because money is what buys influence, it's what buys power, and that's what we have to be attacking here, because we see them out in the open, and that is what we have to be paying attention to.
And I do want to add one thing.
Go ahead, Deep.
There is a lot of fair criticism that you should have against the current Democratic Party, right? Diana Gett has been in Congress for 30 years. John Hickenlooper and Michael Bennet have been running this Democratic Party in the state since the mid-2000s.
I call them the dorks.
And they're dorks in chief. I mean, they run the state basically, right? Like, you have to kiss these two rings before you run for anything. It's like, why are these two guys in charge? And Democrats should be taking a fair amount of criticism. It's like, listen, you've been charged. Why are your policies failing? I'm a member of the progressive left that's like, your policies aren't working because you're not answering to the working class because of the money and politics issue, right? And the right also needs to come up with its own theory of what's happening. Donald Trump was able to win a working class coalition because he was able to call out the corruption in the Republican Party and the Democratic Party. He ended up being elected and is now the most corrupt president that we've seen since Nixon. But that is something that needs to be called out, right? I do think the Diana Getts and the Hickenloopers and the Bennetts have been leading with billionaires first instead of the working class first, and we have to tackle what are the things they're doing wrong. And that's a fair criticism.
I guess I just don't know where it works. Like, where's the examples of this type of socialist leadership where you look at the society and go, it's flourishing. We got money out of politics. We don't have a big corrupt government, because everywhere I look, whether it's Minnesota, for instance, with the amount of fraud there that's taking place, or more progressive cities my argument is the more progressive it gets, the crappier it gets.
So I think in general, you have to look across the board to see what policies in which states are working well. And Republican states oftentimes have some of the most progressive policies while being culturally Republican. Let's look at our state up to the north, Wyoming. Wyoming invests in higher education and K-12 in terms of per capita spending almost more than any other state, right? And they are taxing billionaires, and they're taxing extraction industries, right? They have higher taxes on extraction industries.
But they also allow extraction industries.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is
that
these are sort of like progressive policies, and they're using it to fund K-12, and they're using it to fund higher education. You look at something like North Dakota that has a state-run bank that was able to insulate a lot of its population from predatory loans. And we have to ask ourselves again, Democrats, you've been in charge of California, right? But you haven't built enough housing. You've been in charge of California and you haven't built any high-speed rail, right? You hear about this billions of dollars that were spent for this high-speed rail that never got built, right? And we have to ask ourselves, why was that not built? And that's because the current Clinton wing of the Democratic Party has chosen to pay consultants endless amounts of money while nothing gets built for the American public. And we have to be asking ourselves why. And if you are going to vote for Democrats, it has to be a better way forward. If you're going to keep voting for the same, you're going to keep getting the same things. That's why everybody was so disappointed with when Joe Biden got there and not much changed.
All right, Melat, I'll give you the opportunity to respond.
Look, I think Deep said it best, right? We're talking about the kind of policies that put working people first. At the end of the day, you're working 40 hours a week. You should be able to live a dignified life where you can afford a home, you can send your kids to college, you can own a car, you can go out for dinner and go out on vacation and save for your family for a rainy day. That used to be the norm. That used to be what our wages earned us. But that changed because we allowed corporations and billionaires to stop putting workers first and started putting their own bottom line first. And the only way we can get to the root of this issue is by addressing the money in politics that's there. At the end of the day, we're going to have disagreements about how to get to this issue of addressing the affordability crisis. We're going to have disagreements about different, cultural issues or social issues or whatever the case is. But at the end of the day, we're just arguing amongst ourselves and not actually, debating about ideas in government, because it's the corporations that are deciding whatever it is that works best for them. We need to take the government back for the people. The only way we can figure out what to do next is if we're actually debating these ideas and showing the American people what's on display, what are we offering, and they get to choose who do they want to send to Congress, what kind of policies do they want to put into place. But that's not what's happening, right? We're talking here, we're talking online, we're talking amongst ourselves, but it's corporations that are buying off the politicians and writing the laws as they see fit. If we don't get to the root issue of this, we're actually just going to keep talking in circles, and that's what I'm getting frustrated with. I'm 28. People my age we're looking down the barrel of a future where we own nothing, we rent everything, and we work until we die, because all the social programs that we're supposed to be able to enjoy are going to expire by the time we get of age. We need to get to the root cause of this issue and stop with the Band-Aids, stop with the arguing among the left and the right. This is a top-down issue, and we need to understand that collectively we have far more power over these corporations, and we need to take our government back for the people.
That's Melat Kiros. She's running against Diana DeGette for Congress. She's in Denver here. She's running as a Democrat socialist, or at least on the more progressive wing of the Democrat Party. So when I look at Colorado, Melat, I don't see major problems with corporations. I look at Colorado, and we are more dependent on the government for our health care, education, food, housing, employment. I mean, we just passed LL and MM, where we're feeding 600,000 kids with meals on a daily basis. We're more dependent on government than ever before in the state of Colorado. It's also more expensive. More people are frustrated. More people report that they can't get ahead. So isn't it the government that's the problem?
Jeff, if you don't see the corporations and the billionaires operating behind the scenes, then you're not looking hard enough. The Democratic Party in Colorado has really largely been run by the corporate wing, just like Deep was explaining earlier, the Opportunity Caucus and such. And, even our own governor is nearly a billionaire himself. He writes laws that helps benefit billionaires as well. This still is an issue of the money that's in our politics. And I don't disagree with you that we have a massive affordability crisis here, right? I explained how money in politics, exacerbates the housing issue. You're not going to get me to agree that feeding 600,000 kids is a bad thing. But ultimately, what I'm really fighting for is the kind of government that just operates as a safety net, right? Everyday working people want to work for themselves, earn their own way, and provide for their own families. That's not possible with the kind of economy that we've set up, right? The economy is working great if you already have money. If you are starting from scratch, it's almost impossible to be able to get by. I was just in an Uber last night, and there was a woman. The woman that was driving, she owned a business up until COVID. COVID completely ruined her business. She lost it. She wasn't able to start over. She is she just got diagnosed with breast cancer, and she can't have any health insurance because she's self-employed, and she's trying to figure it out for herself. These are where the safety nets in government should exist for folks who, for circumstances completely and totally out of their control. They're hardworking. They're trying to build something for themselves. But when you have an economy that's benefiting people who already have wealth to begin with and not those who are trying to start from scratch, you cannot have an affordable city. That's not how it works. And so what I'm really fighting for are things like Medicare for all, housing first, universal child care. And you're not wrong that government hasn't been delivering in the right way. But that's by design, right? Corporations want the government to be slow, be ineffective, be not actually delivering in the way that it wants to, so that we actually just rely on the corporations themselves. Government doesn't have to be ineffective or inefficient. We know exactly. If you speak to anyone who works in government, they'll tell you they know exactly why things are being inefficient. They know why things aren't working, but they're not the ones getting listened to. It's corporations and billionaires that are funding the politicians' campaigns that are calling the shots. And so if we really want to get to the root issue, we have to do a full audit of what kind of programs are working, why aren't they working, and make sure that they can serve as a safety net for people who are honest and hardworking and just trying to be able to build something for themselves. Because it's not enough to just get by in this country. People should be able to thrive. And the only reason that doesn't happen is, again, the money in politics. This is the root of all of it.
Well, Melat, so I just want to be crystal clear. You think that the problem with government efficiency and inability to deliver is because of corporations?
Yes, because if the government doesn't deliver, then we choose not to trust in government. We choose not to trust in our leaders. We instead rely entirely on corporations. They build up their monopolies even more, on top of not having any, care for the employees, the stakeholders that are actually involved in that business. And then when they monopolize it, they get to cut all the kind of corners that they want to. They're delivering crappier services and products to us while they're just sending more of their profits over to their shareholders or to their executive board. That's ultimately what we're seeing across the board right now. We're seeing an economy that, they're calling it the K economy, where the upper ring of the wealth bracket is experiencing a wonderful economy. They're having a grand time. Everyone who's down on the bottom ring is suffering. No one is able to build anything. People are being crushed under medical debt. People are not able to find affordable housing. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that corporations and billionaires are writing these laws that are making it difficult for government to get anything done. If you don't like how government is doing something, then run for a seat, figure out what's going on, and change it. And don't be bought and paid for. But ultimately, the people that are in charge are bought and paid for. The only way we can get to the root cause and do a true audit of what's going wrong is by removing that influence and actually seeing what's happening under the hood.
Melat Kiros, I appreciate your time today. Thank you so much. You can learn more about her by going to kirosforco.com, Kiros for FORCO.com. Good luck with Diana to get.
Thanks for calling in.
That's not easy, but Melat, I appreciate you coming on the show and answering some of our questions. Thank you.
I appreciate you for having me. Have a good one.
All right, let's talk the gun room, folks. If you've listened to me for any amount of time, you know I care deeply about freedom, responsibility, and supporting local businesses that have stood the test of time. That's why I want to tell you about the Gun Room. The Gun Room has been Denver's oldest firearms dealer since 1982, and when you walk in, you feel it. Real wood, real craftsmanship, a shop that actually looks like a gun store, less plastic, more tradition. They buy, sell, and consign any and all firearms from antique and vintage to hunting and tactical. And they do something that the big box stores never will. They work closely with families who've lost a loved one and need help handling a gun collection with care and respect. Inventory changes daily with over 1,000 firearms in stock. So if you're thinking about buying, especially with new restrictive gun laws coming, you should act now. Support local, support family-owned, support freedom. Visit denvergunroom.com or call 303-237-1300, 303-237-1300, denvergunroom.com, denvergunroom.com. That's the Gun Room, a Colorado original. All right. Boy, deep. There's a lot there to talk about. It's like, yeah, Denver is not losing restaurants at record pace.
We're actually opening up more this year.
Because of corporations. It's because of minimum wage and crime issues. And it is always government regulation that's pushing this stuff. And I get that corporations, I get that corporations can use government to drive their agenda, to write their laws and stuff like that. But this belief, this undying belief that the government can just care for everybody and is going to provide for everybody, and we need to just tax the billionaires, and then all of a sudden you're going to end up with this socialist paradise. Never happens. It never happens anywhere in history.
So to clarify what I believe, right? I don't believe in a government that takes care of you from like birth, like from cradle to coffin, as they would say, right? I believe in a government that would maximize the amount of freedom that someone would be able to have by both limiting the oppression that a government could face, that your neighbors could give you, or that corporations could give you. What we're looking at in America is the end of a 30 or 40-year stage of late-stage capitalism, essentially, where we have put profits above everything. If you are a member of a corporation, if you're a CEO of a corporation, you have to, by law, maximize shareholder profits above everything else. That means, hey, we can increase profits $200K this quarter if we pollute the environment. We have to pollute the environment. We can increase profits if we cut the pensions of our retirees. We can increase profits if we cut the wages of people. If we cut this corner, hey, instead of using the good cheese on this pizza that's healthy for folks, let's use this synthetic cheese, right? You are seeing this for-profit motive in every single industry, whether it's housing or transportation or food or any of that. You're seeing it trickle down and affect everyone's affordability, their health, their family, their well-being across the board. I mean, we've talked about sports gambling, right? We've talked about the addiction that smartphones are giving to our kids, right? And that's because they're maximizing profit, even if it comes at a human's attention span, even comes at the health of that. So
but
I want
tell me
to
what the
restructure.
government's incentive is then.
If
you
we could
told me
change-
what the corporation's incentive. When you elect people into government, tell me what their incentive is.
Right now, their incentive is to get reelected, which means to do what they need.
It's always power.
Well,
in every government, it's always power.
So let's talk about, okay, so in Lord of the Rings, you know, Tolkien uses Lord of the Rings, and a lot of those are metaphors about what he saw in World War I and
Christianity,
and
the
Christianity,
battle.
and all that. And he talks about power corrupting, right? And the ring represents power. So in the first book, Frodo sees a ring and tries to offer the ring to Gandalf. He's scared, so he's like, Gandalf, take the ring. And Gandalf almost reaches for it and almost takes it. But then Gandalf rejects the ring and said, Frodo, don't offer me the ring again, because the ring will make me think I'm doing great good, but through me it will do great evil. And what Tolkien was getting there is that power corrupts, right? Gandalf would have become the hero of his own story, but the power itself would have corrupted him, right? And you see that all across the board, right? People are heroes in their own story. They think they're doing right, all that kind of stuff. So I think we should push, like, you know, you've seen it from hall monitors or corrupt bosses or anywhere across the board. When you give people power, they will lash out. So you need checks and balances. Right now, we live in America where there's almost no checks and balances to either government officials or the oligarchs who basically control them, right? We need to push this back down. That's why I believe in unionizations of workforces, right? So you have more stakeholders in the room, so employees are taken care of and you have more people to care about. Right now, elected officials, they want to get reelected. And the easiest way to get reelected is by doing the biddings of corporations and billionaires, because they can just write you one $250K check, $1 million check, and you get reelected.
And AOC, you don't think AOC is concerned about getting reelected?
So she has a multitude of small dollar donors to combat.
Yeah, but she still wants to be elected.
It's a different value.
She pushes out anybody that challenges her.
So if there was some reform, like if I could wave a magic wand and only do 2 or 3 policies, right? I think the policies you would be tackling, right? Of course, I would want to tackle healthcare. I would want to tackle K-12 education, childcare, those things. But the thing I would really want to tackle is money in politics and better governance, right? I believe in ranked choice voting. Capping the amount of money and influence in politics. And honestly, I would like a multi-party system, right? The Republican Party and the Democratic Party are doing a really bad job right now finding what they actually represent.
Deep Singh Badhesha live in studio arguing that in order to have effective government, you need to have good moral people. He's edging very closely to Christian nationalism. I'll pull him away from that. Don't
Festivus
worry.
for the rest of us.
All right. We'll continue. Text messages hot. Phone lines hot. Deep Singh, Badhesha, Democrat Socialist of America, live in studio. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710, KNUS.
It's a Festivus miracle.
got a Frank Sinatra vibe about you.
Actually,
You're dapper, man.
Every year, my good friends host a Frank Sinatra holiday party where the proceeds go to a charity. So it was like last Saturday, and we've been doing that for like 10 plus years. We usually do it like out of Pete's Kitchen's like secondary location.
Good for you guys.
It's good stuff. So yeah, Frank Sinatra.
Not relying on the government for everything. All right, that's Deep saying Badhesha, Democrat Socialist of America, live in studio. It's also Festivus.
It's time for the Festivus Feats of Strength.
No feats of strength! I'm Festivus!
And we're going to bring in Barney for this one. Good morning. Barney, Idaho Springs, you're on with Jeff and Deep.
Okay, Jeff. Love you, Deep. I'm not going to be very respectful to y'all. Be decent. You sound like a nice person. For starters, the woman running, hang on, the woman that's running against Diana DeGette, you don't stand a chance. That seat belongs to Diana DeGette till she's done with it. Now, let me go at you, Deep.
Look at that freedom.
What government official... What?
Yeah, it's just sad that we live in a place where like a elected official can just own a seat for as long as they want, right? Does that feel like a real democracy?
Okay, hold on a minute. No, but just a minute. How does Marjorie Taylor Greene become worth $24 million when she goes into Congress at $700,000? How does Puke Dan Crenshaw go in making nothing and makes $8 million? The money that you're talking about, that's not going to change. If I'm a corporation, I have every right to have my opinion to influence whatever I want to influence out there. The money you're talking about isn't the problem. The problem is these people are corrupt. But that's not why I called. The fact is, listen, you sit there and you talk about your spill, and you bring up child care. And you were talking about, I think you guys, the other woman was talking about a 40-hour work week. Well, maybe you have to work more than 40 hours to make a living. I get really tired of people like you guys saying, oh, it's everybody else's fault but your own. If you need to make more money, and I don't count the woman that has breast cancer in the Uber, but give me a break. Get off your butt and go get another job. You guys always want these answers that come from government. And don't get me wrong. Look at on the Republican side. Not a single one of the candidates running this state for governor have said a damn thing about the stupid gun laws that they passed or the tranny law. Give me a break. You guys are all, you bitch about corporations, and I look at Republicans and Democrats, and they both loved illegal immigration. The Democrats thought they were going to get voters, and the Republicans knew they were going to get cheap labor. Total crap, and we don't stand a chance. But having the government babysit my granddaughter is not going to happen, buddy. I don't know what goes on in your mind that you would want anybody but family.
Barney, I just want to give you a warning. If you're driving through Douglas County, our good friend George will hold you accountable against our laws that say you can't have your phone and drive. So be careful. Be careful out there. But I will say that
I'm on hands-free, buddy.
don't
worry about it.
As I was saying, I don't want government to take care of people from cradle to coffin. I want a government that can facilitate an economy and a country and a society where people can live off their labor, right? I mean, I hear you, where if you're working 40 hours a week, you should be able to afford rent. You should be able to afford a vacation.
It doesn't work that way.
You want people to work 80 hours and starve.
No, if I decide that I want to smoke pot, I'm not going to get a decent job because they're going to drug
But if you work 40 hours,
if
you're working 40 hours as a coal miner, do you believe you deserve a pension?
Well, if I put into it, I guess I do. But I work a lot more than 40 hours than most of the guys I know do.
Yeah,
and
I feel for you.
If
if you're working 40 hours or more, you deserve to be able to afford the house you live in.
No, I don't deserve anything, buddy. No.
I guess it's true. Yeah. So, I mean, this is the weird thing that you have is like you have a working class in America that is divided, right? And what you're doing right now, Barney, which is unfortunate, is you're running cover for these oligarchs and these corporations. And it sounds like you're a truck driver, right?
You know what? You don't even sound like Bernie Sanders when you say oligarch. So I don't even buy it. I get in my truck
Barney,
and
why
I
are
go
you
make
doing
my
the
living.
bidding? Why are you doing the bidding of the oligarchs, man?
They're not even
paying you enough.
Listen, I will babysit. I will make sure I take care of my family. I don't need you or any other clown in government to take care of me.
Barney, I just want you to get paid more, man. I want you to get paid more. I want you to have good health insurance. I want you to have a good retirement. Trucking can be bad on your back. You know, it's a dangerous job. I actually believe in like pensions for you all. But you're like, hey, Jeff Bezos needs a third yacht. I am delivering Amazon goods right now, and he needs a third yacht. I'm delivering products from China that are 99 cents. And, you know, I want to make sure these corporations make billions of dollars, and me and Barney make minimum wage. And that's how I like it in America. And that's the worrisome
to that question, and Barney, I appreciate the call. We got to get to a break here. But, I mean, to Barney's point, is like this is kind of classic socialist rhetoric. And at the end of the day, what's delivered is bigger government that's more corrupt. You see that in Minnesota. You see it in San Francisco. Anytime, like, you guys get frustrated about corruption, and then you want to hand the power to the most corrupt entity there is, which is the government, because it has the force of a gun at the end of it.
The thing is, like, I'm not advocating for a government that, like, just is all-knowing, all everywhere in everyone's life, right? Like, I want a better unionized workforce, right? I believe the government has important roles in certain public sectors, for example, K-12 education, right? Higher education.
How well has that worked out?
Infrastructure building, right? I think healthcare is a good space too.
And healthcare, okay. Well, we've got to get to a break, but go ahead.
There are roles there, right? But I feel like when it comes to people's jobs like this, right? If they had better unionized representation, right? We're talking about in America, you know, like MAGA talks about make America great again. And when you ask people, when was it great? Oftentimes they're reflecting back on a period where unionization was at all-time highs, where progressive income taxes were at 90% for the richest folks, where we were building a middle class because someone could work a job 40 hours, their significant other could stay at home and take care of the kids, and they would be guaranteed to have an affordable
That's
college
fine
education,
if you want to use that as an example, but there wasn't
and
nearly the amount of government services.
The way that we did that was by having strong unions, by having a strong labor sector, right? And we have to get back to that. And government has important roles to play, but I'm not asking for like a Leviathan of a government.
But that's the definition of socialism.
That's what Peter Thiel wants. That's what Donald
continue.
Trump and J.D. Vance want.
Singh, Badhesha, live in studio. Democrats, Socialists of America. Give us a call. Join the conversation. 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Capitalist Law text line 720-819-5115. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show, Denver's news talk leader. 710 KNUS.
Frank, no offense, but this holiday's a little out there.
Text messages hot as Deep Singh Badhesha, Democrat Socialist of America, sits in for Bill today. Faith, history teacher, texts in, Melat is a former student at the high school where I teach. I live in CD1. I, for one, am super excited to have a choice to support someone new. Diana DeGette is stale. I'm happy to throw my support behind Melat. Kiros, I think was how we pronounced her name. By the way, Barney lives nowhere near CD1. All right, let's go to the phone lines. Oh, yeah, let's Frank, stick around. I want to get to Frank. I want to give him enough time, and we're right up against a break here. So, Frank, stick around. We'll get you at the top of the next hour. By the way, today is Festivus.
At the Festivus dinner, you gather your family around and tell them all the ways they have disappointed you over the past year.
And is there a tree?
No, instead there's a pole. Requires no decoration. I find tinsel distracting.
Frank, this new holiday of yours is scratching me right where I itch.
Let's do it then.
All right.
Festivus is back! I'll get the pole out of the crawl space.
Feel free to give us a call and share your grievances, whatever they might be. We'd love to hear from it. It's perfect holiday for talk radio. You can share your grievances.
Yeah, call in.
With the Democrats.
We'll actually listen to them.
Yeah,
unlike Democrats, you don't need to come with a maximum.
We'll
check
continue. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show, Denver's news talk leader, 710 KNUS.